Hey you guys, welcome to the video. Thank you so much for being here. I am sharing some more spring planting inspiration. I have a few different pots here that I wanted to do some planting with. The blue ones I picked up about a year ago at the at-home store and I hadn't used them yet. And when I stopped in my favorite local greenhouse to pick up some spring annuals, I came across these super teeny tiny clay pots. I thought they were so cute. And then I'm also going to be planting some of the spring annuals in my outside containers. But first up, I'm gonna do some small container planting. I have this little tiny money tree I got a few years ago and it's looking a little bit rough, so I decided it's time to repot that in a slightly bigger pot so it has room to grow. I'm just using some regular potting soil from Home Depot, and this had some moss on top of it, so I put a little bit of that back on top of the dirt. And next up, I picked up this little baby pink plant called a Kalanchoe, maybe? Kalanchoe? Not entirely sure. I have never heard of this, but I just thought it was so cute and so pretty and would look perfect in one of these tiny blue pots that I have. And with these small pots, it is definitely tricky to get the soil packed in there without making a mess. And then out in my landscaping, I have some teeny tiny bulbs that the previous owners planted out here. I think these are bluebells. I'm not entirely sure, so if you know exactly what these are, let me know in the comments. I decided to dig up a few of the bulbs really carefully and put them in my other teeny tiny blue pot. So I sandwiched the bulbs in there pretty good and then filled it up with some more potting soil, making sure all the bulbs and roots were covered and no air pockets. Since these were all kind of growing in at different heights, it looks a little disheveled, but that's okay. I'll give it some time. We'll see how it looks. And apparently I completely forgot to film planting in those tiny little clay pots. I picked up some little violas specifically for these pots. I had to break up their root systems quite a bit, so we will see how they do. And then the tiny little pots I decided to put up in the window in my office. I don't have any plants in that room, so I thought this would be a good spot for them, and this window gets some pretty decent sunlight. And the tiny violas in these clay pots are cute, but they are definitely high maintenance because they have so little soil. I have to water them every day, but hopefully they will get enough sun to grow in and give me some blooms. And now I moved over to my large outdoor planters. So I recently cleaned these out, so I am going to swap out some of the soil. Since it is about a year old, I'm just taking off the main top layer of soil so I can replace it with fresh new soil. And then I am also sprinkling in some bone meal fertilizer. It is still a little bit early for spring annuals, but we had some really nice days and I stopped in my local greenhouse and I can never pass up an opportunity for some plants. So I got some primroses, which I have never planted before, and also some pansies. I always thought pansies were for full sun only, but it seems like they do okay in part sun, which is why I decided to give them a try up here in these planters. I'm hoping the primroses will get enough as well. I did end up moving the one in one of the planters because this one gets less sun than the other one. I got some really cool dark purple midnight pansies and I got some white ones and purples, so I'm excited to see how those all grow in. As you can see, I have some English ivy in there already. I just clipped that down. And then I had a lot more leftover pansies than I expected to have, so I grabbed this clay pot, filled it up with potting soil, put some of the extra pansies in there. And the small clay pot that I put pansies in, I decided to bring inside and put on my kitchen table. This is where the most natural light in my house comes in. So I'm hoping it will be enough light to get some blooms in here, and also hoping that my mischievous cats stay out of it. And then digging in my garage, I forgot I had this tower planter, so I decided to use that as well. And then the little tower planter is on some stakes, and I decided to put that up front by my walkway since that gets a little bit more sun. And this is where I ended up moving one of the primroses from the large garage planters just because I wanted to make sure it got enough sun. Tulips and hyacinths are sprouting up even more than they were last week. I can't wait for these to bloom. I can see some of the hyacinth blooms are starting to form. I also did this cold weather tiny greenhousing project last week that I shared in my video, and one of them is starting to sprout, which are the marigolds, so I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some sprouts out of the other ones. And here's how my large planters turned out. I can't wait till these start to grow in and just fill with an abundance of color. We got some pretty heavy rain last night, so they are a little beaten up right now. And since I was pretty quick to jump the gun on planting these, I knew it was most likely that we were going to get more cold weather. And sure enough, the next couple days we are supposed to get some temperatures down in the teens and some really high winds, 20 to 30 miles an hour. So I decided to take some landscaping fabric and cover up my plants just to make sure they don't get too cold and freeze. I am so excited to do more planting and landscaping projects in the next couple of months. Make sure you guys are subscribed to follow along with my projects. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.